I'm Cindy with Lori here today, and we are talking about the Prim sew-along. We're so excited. We're ready for the next sew-along.
Thanks, Cindy. I can't believe it's here already.
I can't believe it. We are just ready to get stitching, and this color palette of fabrics is just gorgeous. Look at this stack. But not only do you use this stack, you have some companion pieces as well.
Yes, so the fat quarter bundle will make the quilt. Here's a picture of the quilt right here on the sew along guide.
Fabulous, once again. And the Prim, explain the name Prim.
So it's short for primitive, or, you know, maybe Prim times. So most of the times I do my fabric that are reminiscent of my mother or my grandmother, but I really wanted to do a collection that was reminiscent of my great-grandparents and, you know, the genteel lives that they lived and in their small communities and how they did everything together. And I just really wanted to, you know, do a nod to that. So that's what Prim is about.
And the colors are, you know, the design's a little bit of reproduction, but the color palette is yours.
Yes.
And it's a beautiful color palette.
Thank you.
So these are the companion pieces that you'll need that aren't in the collection, but we have come out with them before.
Right. So the fat quarter bundle will do the blocks and also the borders of the quilt, but I do have a couple of bee backgrounds that we're using, and these are new ones, and they will go in the quilt. And then for the background is my new shabby color called Latte. And those are the background for all of the blocks here.
And it looks almost like a linen. It's just a great color, and it looks excellent.
I'm really happy with how it turned out. And then these three plaids right here are the wide back. So I usually do 3 wide backs to go with each collection, and they're 108 inches wide. And so these are the 3 colorways, and you can see that all 3 colors would work for the back of the quilt.
Yeah.
So
choose your favorite for the back. We love wide backs because you don't have to piece your backing, and these are great colors. So.
And so all of that, as far as the fabric that you need and the yardage, is in the sew along guide. Should we open that up? And
yeah, let's talk about the sew along guide. Again, it's downloadable on the Riley Blake Designs website, and it is a guide. The pattern, the week-to-week instructions are found on Lori's blog.
Yes, I always do them on my blog. The week one, I will do a video of on my new YouTube channel, and so I'll be showing in detailed step-by-step instructions how to do block 1, which is what this one is.
So we can see you're just starting right up here in the corner. This is block 1. Love the flag, love the Americana, the bee, the heart. So great insight there. It gives you a schedule, so you can follow along the schedule. All fabric requirements, cutting requirements, along with the image of the fabric.
Yes, so each piece of fabric that's in this bundle will be here, and then within that piece of fabric, for instance, this is the one that the beehive is out of. So it will say what size to cut your Sew Simple shapes and your interfacing and what block it goes to. So as you cut, you can separate into having your 12 quilt blocks all into kits and ready to go.
So then we can kind of jump to the back. Again, lots of cutting. You identify your Sew Simple shapes. So of course you need your Sew Simple shapes and
we use the interfacing and the Sew Simple shapes.
And that's a big pack this time.
This is the largest collection I've had. There's 62. That's a big one.
That is a big one.
But there's a lot of fun shapes in this quilt, and it's just the Prim quilt set, and so you can use these shapes not only for the Prim quilt, but there's so many different possibilities to just, you know, do a lot of different things: homes, baskets, sheep, cat, you know, there's a lot of shapes. So
you see all the shapes are all listed for you. Talks about the layout of the quilt. And then, of course, there's a little embroidery. You don't have much. Just a
little bit, and 4 or 5 blocks. Like in this one, you can see there's just a back stitch for the bee antenna, and we just need 1 floss for the whole quilt. And it's just a dark brown. I do give suggested colors in here, but it's just 1 dark brown would work.
And as a bonus, look what we have in the very end.
I always add some notes into the back of the sew along guide because you may want to take them as we're doing the sew along. And then I like to add a page of clip art so that you can make bookmarks, tags, quilt shop owners, you know, maybe can do some Prim kits for different quilts or any of the other projects, and they can use those to tag their quilts and make it all cute, because that's important.
And if you print on cardstock, it can be a nice little addition to your kits, a little bonus for your customers.
Yes. I'm a paper crafter too, so I really enjoy clip art, so I really wanted to add that for you.
Okay, well, we've talked about part of the supplies. We'll just review some of the supplies and then we'll talk about the block.
Okay.
So, of course, you have it on your board, your project board.
Yes, this is one of the new design boards.
So the design boards, and you know how I feel about these. I have so many in my room. I don't think you can ever have enough.
Well, I may win the prize by having the most of the 10-inch size, because I stack those up and I put all of my projects on them.
And you come out with such great colors that you got to have more. And this one is my new favorite size, the medium. So
that's a new size, and that's been very useful. So,
okay, you've got your matching Aurifil.
Yes, this is the Aurifil thread. This is the Prim set that goes with the quilt. So what you use that for is to applique. So whether you're hand appliquing or machine appliquing, this is your set.
Matching colors. Yeah. Again, you probably, if you follow along, Lori, you might already have these, but if you're new, you need to have these bias tape makers.
Now these are by Clover. That's the 1/2 inch. And the 1/4 inch. Those are the two that we're using in the quilt. So this is an example of the 1/2 inch right here that is on straight bias. I know I call it straight and it's bias, but it's because they're bias tape makers. But it is straight for the flagpole, and then we do actually cut them on the bias in the 1/4 inch to use for all of the stems in the blocks.
And they look perfect if you're using these, so they're a wonderful thing to have. Your turning tool, you probably have that in your stash too.
That's very important to shape your shapes. Once you sew them, you don't want to just turn them inside out and press them. You need to shape them before you press them.
We got our Sue glue.
My favorite.
And then pretty pins.
Yeah, the pretty pins I use along with my design boards, and that's how I pin baste my blocks and get them laid out to get ready for applique.
Seems so easy, guide. We have a new color, so we had to highlight it today.
That's right. So we do have some pieced blocks in this quilt. We have the whole border is pieced and the corners are pieced as well. And so this helps with piecing. The Seam So Easy guide. That's what I use.
And I love it because you really get your 1/4 inch perfectly on if you have that on the base of your machine. But what's new about this is before you had to cut out this center area. You don't have to cut it out anymore.
It's pre-cut out now.
We cut it out for you, so just a little highlight of what's new and improved.
So we use that for the pieced blocks, and also for these trim it up rulers here. We use the 10-inch size for the corners, and then the 16.5 inch trim it ruler is for the applique blocks themselves. So this is trimmed up and already appliqued, but I will have you cut this a couple of inches larger so that when you applique, sometimes the edges become frayed. Sometimes, it's all wrinkled up. I like to just press the back and then trim it up, make sure everything is centered.
And I am such a huge fan of these. If you want to have your blocks perfectly centered and be able to look and see where you're cutting, you need every one of these.
Yes.
I use them all the time in all my quilting.
Well, I use this too for when I'm laying out my blocks. For instance, I want to make sure my applique pieces don't grow past the size that they're going to be, so that you can see within this aqua window, this is your 1/4 inch seam. So within this window is what your finished block is going to look like.
And that's a great tip, because not only you can square it up, but when you're laying out your blocks. So
that's right.
Great tip. Okay, so let's talk about...
Do you want to see a sneak peek?
I would love to.
Okay, so here's block 1. So I'm working just a little ahead of you guys so that I can do the tutorials for you. But I wanted to go ahead and show you 2.
Oh, how cute. Look at that bird in the basket.
And then here's 3.
Oh, is that a little angel? Look at carrying cherries. Like, how sweet is that?
Over a pie pan filled with flowers instead of cherry pie.
Oh, well, that's clever. But look, I don't think I've ever seen an applique block. I think that's really clever.
You mean a quilt block that's applique?
A quilt block that's applique. Yes, reverse that.
These are reminiscent of a quilt block, but they're not exactly like a quilt block. They're actually 2 different pieces. And each block of the whole quilt, there's 12 blocks, has a star. They come in 2 sizes. And all the stars are in my neutral colors that I added to this collection. And I really love how all of the stars kind of bring all of the blocks together because they have that same element in each block.
Okay. Anything special about your first block you want to mention?
Just because I love the flag and, of course, beehive, bee in my bonnet, you know, I just kind of started off that way with block 1. But all of the blocks just represent, you know, maybe my grandparents' lifestyle and their times, and there's just a lot of, you know, fruits and flowers and baskets and strawberries and, of course, a church and a home. And the last block, there is a heart with a hand in it, which means hands to work and hearts to God. And that's why I ended it with that one. So this is number 1, and the hands to work, hearts to God is number 12.
I love that. That's so special, Lori.
Thanks,
We
Cindy.
love what you design, and we're happy to kick this so long off. But we also wanted to show some accessory items.
Yes, there's a lot of stuff that we have with Prim as well that do not belong in the quilt, but are equally fun as well.
So we have so much fabric to talk about, so we're going to clear things off and show you some more accompanying projects.
Be right back.
We are back, and we have a lot more of Prim to talk about. We showed you previously this beautiful bundle. I'm just going to take it out in sections and show you all the beautiful colors. Got the reds
Those are all
and
the pinks and the reds.
Oh, look at these orange, yellows into the mustard yellows.
Yep. Or the butternut squash, that's what I like to call them.
Oh, very good. Look at your greens. I love this vintage bluish green.
I love to put blues and greens together, aquas and mints and, you know, all of them. And including the denim right here.
And this time you went more into that raisin color.
I did.
Not the
Yeah.
nutmeg. So
Yeah,
that's
it's kind
really
of like
nice
what I
too.
call, you know, kind of like a grayish, like gray, beige, brown all together. So I'm really enjoying working with those neutrals.
And again, if you haven't noticed, Riley Blake has put all the colors in the fabric collection on the back, so you get to see all the prints. So that's a nice addition. We're going to move these all over here. And let's talk about all the fun things you have coming along.
Let's talk about this fabric that I did to go along with this collection, which is,
It's not in the bundle,
I guess
but-
what I call a cheater cloth.
And I love it because it looks like pieced blocks. And back in the day when we all used to tie quilts, you can still tie quilt. How easy would that be to tie on the little squares using
That's right.
chunky thread?
See all the different colors in it and the blocks.
Any of these colors of your chunky thread would match perfectly.
That's what I'm planning to do with mine. So
I think I'm going to tie a quilt this year. That's got to be one of my
They're fun and they're
sewing
fast.
goals. Okay, so let's talk about all the other fun things we have coming out. Tins, nesting tins. I love
they
these.
nest inside of each other, or you can just put them on your counter like this, like you would a canister set, you know, like this.
You got to
or
see
with
the
a small
motif.
one on top.
But that's from the sew along quilt, so that's very
These are
cute.
3 of the blocks and then 3 of the prints that are on the side. Perfect for storage in your sewing room.
Very cute. We've got washi tape for your Seam So Easy guide to put on your sewing machine, as well as other
I also
fun
use the
things.
washi tape on my light box when I'm tracing embroidery patterns and things like that. So the washi tape is perfect to put on the light box because you can tape your patterns and you can tape fabric, but then you can peel it off and it doesn't tear.
I just like to look at it, but
Yeah.
it's useful.
And I try to make
is
it cute,
useful.
so I use different prints from the line in this one, so it's really fun.
Cute charms. You know, we love our pull charms for zippers.
Yeah, project bags, keychains. Use your imagination.
Okay, puzzles. We love puzzles.
Yeah, I come from a puzzle family, so I really wanted to do puzzles.
This is the 1,000 piece, so you got your work cut out for you. Okay, talk about these. I've been to your design room, and
Yeah.
you love pincushions,
Yeah,
especially
I have
these.
a huge collection of tomato pincushions. So, and I have some of my grandmothers and one of my great grandmas and some of my moms. And so I thought that it would be really fun in this collection to do a nod to that and do 3 tomato pincushions.
So
So we've got the
cute.
green, yellow, and red tomatoes.
I think I'm going to start my own collection, starting with yours. All right, let's talk about these fabulous new notebooks.
Yes, so in my sewing room, I'm always taking notes and making lists. So I wanted to do some from Prim for you. So this is a lister, and it's got the basket on there and some of the fabric prints.
Is this just a fun general notebook?
I love this size. And I love the rings so that you can just put them back, you know, and make your lists, and you're not trying to keep your book open all the time.
And you can recognize the fabric we just showed you.
So this is the medium size, and this is the large size. So
which is the quilt right behind us.
That's right. So when we actually get these in the warehouse, these rings are going to be on the side. So
these
I wanted one top one and one side one. Yeah.
Okay, very good. All right, let's talk about these quilt kits. We have beyond the sew along, we also have darling quilt kits. Let's talk about the table runner.
Okay, well, first of all, I like to do a box, which turns into a collectible box. And I use the prints from the project inside the box. And I like to use the 5-inch stackers for this box. So do you want to open that, Cindy? And I'll show you kind of a little bit.
We've got the pattern,
of the table runner,
pre-cuts, and everything you need to make this, including the binding. But I think the backing not included.
The backing is your choice.
Backing not included.
And then also you can go a step further and embellish these baskets if you would like. So Cindy, do you want to show them this lace that you put on this runner right here across the baskets?
I made this table runner. I loved making all these baskets, but it's really fun.
You did a beautiful job.
To add a little lace, and then of course the buttons, because the buttons and the lace are not included. So look how cute. Your buttons come in these little packs and colorways, but you also have your granny chic buttons that match.
That's right. So the granny chic buttons and the set of the cute little buttons, which are all 1/4 inch buttons, tiny, tiny. And that's where all these flowers are. They're little button flowers. And then the stems are just a little embroidered back stitch, and the leaves are a lazy daisy stitch. So you would need one skein of just any green embroidery floss.
So that was a lot of fun to make. I didn't make this one behind me, but I adore this quilt. It's all about houses, and in your Prim colors.
This is Prim Village, so this represents the village that my great-grandparents lived in.
And very cute. You're going to get good at making those house blocks.
So here's the collectible box, and the pattern comes in it, and the pre-cuts, and
all the
some extra fabric that's needed. And again, collectible box. This one's made from 10-inch stackers and one 5-inch stacker.
Well, as you can see, there's so many fun, beautiful projects you can make out of Prim, and we're looking forward to sewing along with you, Lori.
Thank you, Cindy.